you doing today? So, in this video, I'll be explaining my part 3 of my quick chat application, right? So, basically, in part 3, we mostly focus on the array lists where it basically stores the messages dynamically, and then also the message tracking that which has been sent or has been stored or has been disregarded. Then I also have the JSON file reading. It also in part 3 it also shows us the searching for functionality, or like the message deleting functionality, or message reporting functionality, and also like the longest message identification. So firstly, we're going to be starting with our main. So you guys will be thinking, where's part 1 and 2? So part 1 and 2 are on my YouTube channel, where you can go back and see like how my part 1 works. So this is how it starts, right? So here are my comments. So as we know, if we want to add a comment, we'll put two slashes and we'll add our comment. So here's where my part 3 starts, right? So as you can see, the first line, registration and message dot send message dot add message. So this basically just adds the message text into a set into the set messages array list. So basically, the how this works is it uses the array list because it can grow dynamically while the program is still running. Then we come to our next line, which is registration and message dot send message ID. So this basically stores the message's ID and associates with the message. This is important because every every message needs to require like a unique identifier, right? This is for the message ID. Then we come to our message hash. So this also stores the message hash. So the function of a hash is that it basically acts like a unique fingerprint for like the message. And then for like the final line where it says send message recipients, so this basically just stores the recipient's phone number, right? So here, as we can see, we have four array lists, and so this is also known like as a parallel array, right? So this means like, so as if we need more explanation, this means basically it has a zero index, right? Then we come to our discarded messages, right? So as we can see here, right here, we can see our disregarded. So this basically is also a part of 3, but sometimes if you think about it, on a WhatsApp, when we delete a message, right? We when we send a message, we most of the time we want to delete that message. So this is where we use a disregarded array, right? So this code here, registration and message dot read disregarded messages. So this basically stores the message that was deleted before sending. So even though the message has not been sent, it will still keep a record of it. So this basically it makes it better for tracing the message, even though it's not been sent but it's been deleted, so it still stores that message. Then we come to our stored message functionality. So right here, this is our stored message functionality. So as you can see here, it says add to stored arrays. So here we have four arrays. So the first method the first method called sorry, my bad, we're on the wrong area. So here it says message dot store message. We have message ID, we have message hash, we have recipient message, and then we have name.json. So this saves the message into like a JSON file, right? So you might be thinking, what's the purpose of a JSON file? So the purpose of a JSON file, it allows the message to persist after the program has been closed. So so if so without the file storage, the information will be disappeared and the application will end. So that means that there won't be like the message ID, there won't be message hash or the recipient's name, right? Then if we come down, we come to our recipient message stored message, right? So here, as we can see, so this basically just stores the message text, and then here the message ID, it just stores the message hash. Same thing with the message hashes and the message recipients, right? So basically it just stores the recipient's number. Okay, then if we come down here where we have another section that starts where part 3 starts is if option equal to. So this basically here it just executes where the user chooses the show recently sent messages option. So here if we can see the variable, it says int recent option is equal to 0. So this is like a function where it just basically stores the user's menu selection, right? So as you can see, this is the menu selection. So the basically the recipient, he's going to choose either to send a message, so he will, or to discard the message, or to store the message, or go back to the main menu, right? Then we come to our displaying the sent messages. So here, if you come here where it says if registration and message dot send message is empty, so this basically it just determines whether there's any like send messages that actually exist, right? So if the array list is empty, the program will display as if it would display this, so no send messages, or otherwise it will basically it will if it does have, it will just have this whole code here, right? So this is like a loop, so every time like the message is stored in the array list, so the variable, which as we can see here is j, it will just represent like the current position. So for like if you think about it, it's like inside of the loop, like inside the loop we have the message, we have the message id, we have the message hash, we have the recipient and the message content. This will, it just allows the user to review the previous messages that has been sent. Then we come to our displaying of the displaying of the disregarded messages. So this the next option, so this is, it just displays the messages that have not been sent, right? So the program just again checks if it just checks, like if you can see here, registration and message disregarded messages dot empty. So if the messages exist, the loop will display each of the messages that you have disregarded. So this is a function of an array list and a loop, right? Then we come to our displaying of the stored messages. So this is like an option where it just shows that it just shows the messages that have been saved at a later stage. So here, as we can see here, we can see there's a loop, right? So this loop basically it goes through message registration, that message registration here, stored messages, and it just it just displays the message or the message id or the message hash, the recipient's number and the message itself. So this basically it just allows the user, or the not the user but the recipient, to view all the not the recipient but the user to view all the messages that have been stored. Yeah. Then we come to our stored messages menu, right? As we can see here, we have one sec. Yeah, so as we can see here, it says if option is equal to 4. So this opens the stored messages menu. So then before it displays the menu, it will first execute this section here, registration and message dot load stored messages from JSON, right? So what so this method basically just reads the JSON file and then it loads the data into the array list. So this basically it just makes sure that the previous saved messages are available when you're restarting like the application, right? Then so this is and then here if you can see, this is the this is the menu. So once the user has sent the amount of messages, like for example if we go all the way to the top, here we can see the messages, like the user sent wants to send 3 messages, right? So no, not in this one, sorry. If we go all the way back to part 1, here it says choose an option. So for example, the user says he wants to send 2 messages. So once he sends those messages, he can either choose to see the messages he sent, or the messages that he disregarded, or the messages that he stored. Then what happens is the final outcome is, then the user can see like the longest message that he sent or the messages that he has disregarded. So you'll use any of the options from 1 to 6 to see if the messages that he has sent to that specific recipient has satisfied the user. And then if once he's done, he'll just go press 7 and he will go back to the menu. Okay, then we're going to go to our class, right? So this is where most codes happen. This is the functionality, right? So 1 second, let me just go to the section where we will start. Yeah, so here is our where part 3 starts as well, right? So here, as we can see in our comments, it says this are all array lists, right? So the function of an array list is to store all the messages data. So as we can see, the public static array list string send messages equal to new array list. So this basically it just stores the messages text. Same with this function here. It just stores the messages ID, and it stores the messages hashes, and it stores the messages recipients number. Then if we could come a bit down here, it just disregards it just stores the messages that have been disregarded, right? So as we can see here, this is the main one. So here we see disregarded messages. So it just stores the messages that have been disregarded, right? Then here we say public static array list string stored messages. So here it just stores the messages that have been saved for a later stage. Same thing with the stored message ID and the message hashes and the recipients. Then we can see like a pattern, right? So these are all the messages that have been sent. These are all the messages that are disregarded but are still stored, and these are the messages that are stored for later time. Okay, then we come to our JSON file folding, right? So as we can see here, the method begins as like a public static void, right? So it says public static void load stored message from JSON string file name. So this method basically it just like stores the messages from a JSON file. So as we can see, the first line is JSON parser is equal to new JSON parser, right? So this basically it just creates like a JSON parser object, right? So it okay, like to explain it in simple terms, it's the purpose of this is to convert the JSON text into like a into Java objects, right? So then our next one is a JSON array parser dot parse. So this basically it just reads the JSON file and then converts it into like a JSON array, right? So then once that happens, is the JSON array then can store multiple messages like message objects. Then we come to our loop. So this is our loop here, right here. This is where our loop starts. So this basically it just shows like every message that has been stored in the file, right? So like each object is converted into like a JSON object, right? So this basically allows the individual values to be implemented. And also, like if we can read here, it says the following lines extract the information, right? So if we can go to the string ID here and the string hash here and the string recipients here and the string messages. So here it's like here, if we think about it, the message ID, it just gets the message ID. Same thing with the hash, it gets the hash, right? It gets the message hash. Same thing with the recipient, it just gets the recipient's number. Same thing with the messages content, right? So the program in general, it just adds the values so to it like appropriate array list. Then it just recreate like the stored data inside of the memory. Okay, then we're gonna come to our get get longest message. So this basically it just finds like the longest message. So basically here if we can see, it says string longest is equal to quotation marks and a semicolon. So this basically it just stores the current longest message. And then here we have our loop. So this loop, it just checks every that message that has been sent, right? Then we added a condition with it as well, right? So right, this is the condition here. So this just compares like the message's length. So for example, if a longer message is found, that will become like the new message, the long, like the it will become like the new longest message, right? So this process will be repeated for all the stored messages, right? And so basically at the end of this, it will just show like the longest message, right? So this basically just demonstrate how it just demonstrate the searching and the comparison algorithm. So it's basically how do I explain this? It's the best way to explain this is that it just it, at the as the final state, it just returns like the longest message. Then we come to our search by message ID. So as we can see, this the method where it says search by message ID. It just allows the user, like it just allows the user to search for a message that uses that specific ID, right? So here we can see, here's the loop. Int I is equal to 0, stored messages ID. So it just checks every stored messages ID. And then we have our condition here where it says stored messages get I equals the search ID. So this basically it just checks if it matches the ID. So it basically just it finds the methods that return like the recipients and the message. Then we come to our search by recipients. So it just searches for the messages that belong like to the specific recipients, right? So here, as we can see, we can see the Spring Builder result is equal to string builder. So this is so this basic it's like a program that just loops through the both and it just loops both the send messages and the stored messages. Then we come to our delete hashes. So the this method here where it says delete by hash, it just deletes using it just how do I say that, it just allows the message hash to be deleted, right? So it's like the loop. So the loop basically searches through like the stored message hashes, and then and then it matches the hash by finding like the stored messages remove, or the stored messages ID remove, or the messages hashes, or the messages and recipients remove. Okay, then we come to like our final like report of all the whole of part 3. So here, if we can see here, it says display full report. So this method basically just creates like a complete report of all the messages. So all the sent messages, all the messages that have not been sent, all the messages that like that it just basically just displays like the messages hash, the recipients, and the messages. So what is the final outcome of part 3? Basically it's just like a dynamic storage that uses array list. It's like a JSON file that it's like a file that basically does some reading. It searches like some algorithms. It's the deleting of messages. It's the storing of messages for a later stage. It's the sending and deleting of messages, and then still being able to see that message. Now we've done all the code, but does it actually work? So as we can see here, we have our play button. We will press on the play button, right? And here we can see that we have our output. So here, if you see in my part 3, you did not see my first name. You can go to my YouTube channel and you can check and you can go through that video part 1 and you can see how the application actually works. So firstly, I'll write my name, Pav, and then I'll write my second name. Then I'll put my username. So the requirements are on the video. If we go back to my video, you can see why my username is like this and what requirements it's that. So basically, if I write this as my this is my correct password. One sec. So the enter, and then I'll just add my phone number. So if, for example, if I don't add the plus sign and I just say 271236789 and I say enter, as we can see, it says that cell phone is incorrectly formatted. It must start with a +27. It will ask me to rewrite my username. So I'll say my username is this, with a capital P. And I'll add my password, and I'll make sure that I put the right number. Right. Then it's like a second confirmation. So we'll put the username again and the password. So then here, as we can see, it's everything's correct. The username is successfully captured, the password is successfully captured, and it says login successful. Then I will send a message. I'll press 1. It says how many messages. I'll send 2 messages. I'll add the recipient's number. Then I'll say hello there. Hello. Let's just say hello here. And then here we can either say send the message or disregard the message, and then in this case let's discard the message. We'll press a 0 to delete the message. Then we will re-enter the number and we will send a new message. So we will say hello, I am here. I'll enter. Then let's store this message, right? Then here we can say show recently sent messages, right? So as we can see, it's going to say show send messages. So we're going to press what? Oh, sorry. I did make a mistake. We're going to have to do this one more time. So we are back to the place we were. So now, as we can see, I've stored a message, and then I'll say I want to do it again. I'll enter the message, the number. Then I will send the message. I'll say hello, not coming. Enter. Then what I'll do is I'll say let's send a message, right? So here as we can see here, it says message that has been successfully sent. We will then we'll put another number. In this case, we'll put the same number. We'll send the message hello here. Then we'll say 1, which send messages. As we can see here, it says total number of messages that have been sent are 3. Then what we will do is we will press 1, send messages, and then we'll repeat it as long as many times as we want. So we'll do it again, right? And we'll say hello, and then we'll send a message. It will say that we have sent a total number of 4 messages. Then we'll press 2. Then we'll say show the send messages, show the disregarded messages, and then show the stored messages. So then we'll press 3. And as we can see, the stored messages we have is hello, hell, I am not. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but why not? Then we can see the send messages that have been sent. So these are the messages that we have sent. So as we can see here, we have message number 1. It says hello there. Message number 2, hello, hello, not coming. Message 3, hello here, and message 4, hello. Then we'll press 1. Oh, sorry, my bad. We'll go to number 4. Right. So here we can see we have a total number of 4 messages, right? Then we'll say show the recently sent messages. So we'll say 2. We'll say show the messages that have been disregarded, right? There are no messages that we have disregarded. Then we'll press a 3, the stored messages, how I am not, and one sec. So then what we'll do is we'll press stored messages where we did 4. Then we'll have this huge display where it say display the sender and the recipients of all stored messages. So let's press 1, and as we can see, we have I'm the sender and this is my number and the sender and the number I've sent to. Then if we want to see this the longest message, we'll just press 2, and the longest message is hello not coming. And if we want to see the whole for the reports, we'll say enter, and as we can see, we can go up. Here's our send messages, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and here are our stored messages. So this is the final output. Then we'll press 7 and we'll go back to the menu, and we can repeat as much and as long, right? Then we come to our JUnit testing. So the JUnit testing is a simple thing. It just tests if the code actually works. So here, if we want to see if it works, we're going to say run the test, and we will see if it actually works, right? So as we can see, they say the test 1, it says test runs 1, failure 0, error 0, and skip. And to actually see the thing, what we will do then is we'll run this one thing again. We'll run and test the longest message. Then we'll say open the test results window, and as we can see here, it says the test have been passed 100%, and therefore our code actually works and it actually functions. And yes, that'll be it. This is part 3, and thank you for watching the video, and like and subscribe. Thank you.